Turyatita Turyatita, in your whole being and doing, manifest all the powers. Understand, power manifestation is nothing but cognitive shift. It is not work. It is cognitive shift. Understand? It is just cognitive shift. It's not work. Work is a 4-letter word. Power manifestation is cognitive shift. Playing with life. Playing with being alive.
Beautifully, Bhagavan explained what is power manifestation. It is a cognitive shift commanding over the universe, commanding to everything as our reality. From what we understand, body and mind, to the superconscious space, Paramashiva space, who we are as the conscious sovereignty. It's a science as we can repeat it and each one of us can experience it. Science of power manifestation is supported by the evidences listed here. The scriptural evidences, the Shastra Pramana, the eternal unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures, the Vedas and the Agamas, Apta Pramana, the experience and the results of the Aptas, the Rishis, Munis, Ganas, Nainamas, Alvars, Siddhas, all of them, millions of them are authority of Hinduism who have manifested the powers of Paramashiva from human to superconscious space of conscious sovereignty Paramashiva as reality. Atma Pramana, account of His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, this millennium's avatar's personal experience of power manifestation, Bhagavan's very own Leela, where he enacts the whole play of how a human can have a superconscious breakthrough. Shakshi Pramana, the millions of devotees, disciples, followers all around the world, all of us manifesting the powers of Paramashiva initiated by Bhagavan. Bhagavan has beautifully said, whoever comes to the Kailash courtyard, I myself will make them experience the Paramashiva space, state, powers and manifest as their reality as Paramashiva. The Pratyaksha Pramana, the scientific study measuring the effect of being in the enlightened state, the thoughtless state, can be experienced by each one of us. They do millions of tapas, millions of ways, but Bhagavan has given the most easiest way to live as Paramashiva, radiate as Paramashiva, and manifest as Paramashiva, as thoughtless space, as a quantum, as the ultimate space of oneness. Let's go to the Shastra Pramana. The Shastra Pramana are the eternal unchangeable truth revealed in the source scriptures, the Vedas and the Agamas. Beautifully here in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Vijnana, the consciousness, Bhairava, one who experienced beyond the consciousness, Tantra is the method how you experienced beyond the mind to experience consciousness. Step by step, here Bhagavan beautifully explains the detail.
Right, Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Sutra 84, Dharana 61. Akasham vimalam pashyan, kritva drishtim nirantaram, stabdhatma takshanad devi, bhaidavam vapurapnuyat. Akasham vimalam pashyan, kritva drishtim nirantaram, Stabdhatma takshana devi bhairavam vapurapnuyat.
Beautifully, Bhagavan Paramashiva in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Dharana 64, Sutra 84, Bhagavan Paramashiva says, looking at the spotless infinite Akasha, etheric space, beyond the skies and the clouds, and should fix one's gaze without blinking continuously and make the body and the inner space steady and motionless. In the very moment, O Devi, one attains the nature and the powers of the infinite space, Bhairava. Bhagavan beautifully says how the mind is continuously an action, a thought, which is happening continuously in us. When you fix yourself in the deep oneness, simply the thought action just subsides and becomes the oneness with Paramashiva. How you make the gross body into the subtle atoms, molecules, the quantum. How Bhagavan has beautifully given in the sutra When you are in the deep sleep, or when the dead body is there, there is no mind, there is no action. So there is no mind. When there is no mind, there is no action. That is why in deep sleep, there is no mind, there is no random eye movement, there is nothing, nothingness. But unconsciously we falling into that is powerless, Bhagavan says. When you consciously enter into the deep sleep is samadhi. The thoughtless space can be entered consciously. And he gives a beautiful method how we can stare at the Akasha. We know that length, breadth, depth, the length, earth element, the verbalization, next the level of frequency, we move into the breath element, which is the liquid that we understand body is just not solid but much more liquid, and that is visualization. And next we have the depth element, which is the fire element, which is much more subtler, which is not gross. And then the cognitive shift in the depth element happens, understanding that we are quantum, we are the ultimate. And then the time shifts into the quantum space of how we are subtle and we are Paramashiva and we are the etheric space. If we can understand the space element, that is what we are. Here beautifully he says, you will merge into that, and in the minute, Devi, the nature, oh Devi, one attains the nature and the power of infinite space, Bhairava, you become infinite. Because you understand the subtler and subtler constitute of yourself and start understanding the higher reality that you are Paramashiva. Like you wake up from your dream and you know that whatever you went through in the dream, however painful, however miserable, it doesn't even exist. Same way Bhagavan says, even a drop of water could wake you up. Then you will understand that nothing has been lost, nothing has been taken away, nothing can be taken away, because nothing exists much beyond what you perceive as the existential reality. How you perceive is not the same that exists as what you see now. If you understand the higher cognition, like for example, if you understand the solution to a problem, you can never think of a problem. The mind cannot think. How can it think when you give a solution? You know the solution. Same way, when you give a solution that you are Paramashiva, Bhagavan beautifully says, after that there is no problem. How can your thoughts run? How can thoughts be there? You unclutch from everything because you are Paramashiva, you were Paramashiva, you are going to exist as Paramashiva. And nothing is lost by being Paramashiva, but everything, auspiciousness and abundance starts flowing in us as Paramashiva. Beautifully, Bhagavan gives a Apta Pramana. Apta Pramanas are the Rishis, Munis, Ganas, Alvar, Siddhas. Here beautifully Bhagavan has given the Apta Pramana of the avatar Raghavendra. Sri Raghavendra, this is from his official website, clearly defines how 3 astrologers predicted, and he said all 3 were correct. How Bhagavan has predicted, now we are going to have a catastrophic and such a horrible life of not being in the oneness, and the whole thing is going to regenerate itself unless we are in Kailasha. We are going to go through such massive. Now Greg Band and on all of them have released about Mahabharata, how the whole catastrophic has happened and nuclear war has happened, and simply in few seconds people were just gone. Now 11 crore and 18 crore, all of them, simply 9 crore, and 11 crore, all of them vanished in 19 days because of the nuclear weapon that was used, and everything was gone. Now they are trying to discover and say that it is all real. And now, if we understand what Bhagavan is giving us, the regeneration is happening, and we need to hold the highest space of Paramashiva. As Bhagavan says, whoever is in conscious sovereignty will not be only go through the regeneration, will not be destroyed. If we are ready for regeneration, then we will not be destroyed. The oneness that creates into the ultimate reality, nothing can be taken away from us. Even our life cannot be taken, because the very existence that we are. Here beautifully Raghavendra says, he lived in the body for 70 years. He lived in the form of the teaching as 300 years. And he lived in the form of Samadhi and still living as Paramashiva for 700 years. all of us can experience the samadhi. That is why Bhagavan has given the greatest samadhi, samyama, for all of us. Svaraja Shakti Samyama, even that is as a power. It creates the conscious reality, conscious sovereignty as our reality. These are the mandatory things for us to survive through the pandemic. And Bhagavan beautifully speaks on the birth on Akashic reading. Just by listening to it, so much of karma is removed. And clearly he states how the birth happens and how we exist beyond the perception that we have. Bhagavan gives the in-depth of how Paramashiva manifests the creation, the Panchakritya.
It is not the creator who made you forget your prarabdha. It is your strong, rebellious mind which decided to say no to the whole creation that made you forget the prarabdha. Now, the more you accept the existence as it is, the more you accept the various kaleidoscopic experiences of different consciousness happens in you as it is, you will realize your prarabdha. This is the process Mahadeva wants to initiate all of you. I tell you all, by sitting for 21 days without moving from a place and witnessing all the different states of consciousness happening in your body and mind and inner space, you reach a space where prarabdha becomes seen, perceived, experienced directly by you.
The next question is from Shrikant Gopi. He is asking, Dear Kala Bhairava, why God created this world? God disguised as human being, created suffering, tried to resolve it. All seems like a meaningless game from the highest perspective. God creates, God incarnates, God gets enlightened. What is this game about? Please clarify.
My dear son, what you described itself is an answer. Only one thing you need to understand. You need to remove that word, highest perspective. That is the only perspective. God incarnates, God gets enlightened, God plays this whole role, and God plays with himself. It is like a child playing with his own body. God is playing with his own body. It is not highest perspective. This is the only perspective. Realize that, my son, you achieved the true realization which I wanted to share with humanity.
The next question is from Ma Atma Niranjani from Chennai. She is asking, we are sending these questions as the answers to these will have a deep relevance to pregnancy care program. We would love Swamiji to speak on what happens when a pregnant lady seeks the blessings of an enlightened master. This would be of great help in bringing down enlightened souls. Thank you.
When a pregnant lady is touched by the enlightened being, the bio-memories of the enlightened being gets into the body of the child in her womb. The umbilical cord is the part of the body which is built with more percentage of emotion and less percentage of flesh and blood. As this part is built with more percentage of liquid emotion, less percentage of solid flesh and blood, the energy received in our body by the blessing or the touch of an enlightened being directly goes and gets stored in the bio-memory of the child. When the child's bio-memory is stored with highest truth and the true remembrance of its eternal oneness with the existence, it attracts a soul which never feels itself as separate from the whole, as it never feels itself from separate from the whole, the part continues to be the part of the whole from the beginning. It does not feel separate and grows expressing its whole consciousness as Jivan Mukta.
The next question is from Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. He is asking, what is the difference between soul leaving from one body to another body by yogic powers and taking birth as a newborn baby? How a baby chooses to express his or her feelings through particular action like crying and laughing. Why should it not laugh for sorrow and cry for happiness? Thank you.
The ability to relax from the reflections of your nervous system consciously without breaking your identification with the whole is the Parakaya Siddhi, the ability to move from one body to another. The ability to one body to another can be used while you have one body, entering into another one body and coming back to the same body which you left. It is called Parakaya Siddhi. It is called Parakaya Pravesham. When you leave this body once for all and take another one new body and never come back to this old body again, it is conscious birth. So understand the truth about the ability to leave one body and enter into another body. The next truth you need to know, when you do not have the ability to move from one body to another body, keeping your awareness of the identity intact, even then if you try to get rid of one body, it is called suicide. The suicide only damages your identity, breaks it into so many pieces without you becoming one with the whole, as this self-destruction causes a severe damage in the process of you becoming one with the whole. You needed to assume again and again various bodies in which the healing, the self-healing can happen, which is an antidote for the self-destruction which you did. Then after the self-healing happens, only then your journey to experience the oneness of the whole with the whole begins. So destruction of your individual body without the ability to keep the individual awareness intact is considered as sin, as it delays your journey to be with oneness of the whole.
The next question is from Janani from Singapore. She is asking, what does birth signify? Does every conscious birth child get enlightened in their birth?
Every conscious birth is beginning of enlightenment. Once the conscious birth happens, enlightenment is not a big journey. It is only a choice. So usually, all the beings with conscious birth enters into enlightenment. If not, they may choose to stay back in that very state and continue to have few more births out of their free will. But any conscious birth being is considered already on the fast track to enlightenment.
The next question is from Manitya Ramya from Singapore. She is asking, Nithyanandam, why does a soul take a conscious birth?
By the strong experience of disillusionment of your projection of fear or greed, when the part is strongly hit, it searches, it seeks the source to which it can unload the strong shock or the hit it received by the disillusionment. When it turns towards the source to unload its stress and the difficulty due to the disillusionment, it suddenly remembers its source, and the moment of remembering your source and coming face to face with the whole, you remember the secret of your birth, as birth does not happen at all. The moment you remember the secret of your birth, whether you change the body or not, you are conscious birth.
Beautifully, all the answers clearly define how we are conscious sovereignty. The birth and death does not even exist. Bhagavan says, even that is a delusion. Once you understand your conscious birth, you will understand that Paramashiva is the very core, very way of existence, and you will not even have the birth. And beautifully, he says, whoever my devotee, surely it's the last birth. If your eyes are watering, seeing Bhagwan or doing the Pada Puja every day, that is the most beautiful sign to know that if you're a last birth that you're going to have. Here, a devotee is clearly explaining how she has the gratitude towards the Kailash courtyard. And she says, I was shown NASA rocket launch, Apollo 7. Initial date that I saw was 1969, but I did not trust. And then I put 1986, and the actual was 68. The last two digit was the other way. And that was the first launch with human for testing purposes. I clearly saw the limiting pattern stopping me. And from being in the oneness, I could see how I decided as a child I could not be good at things. While being in oneness, more I was able to drop at Bhagwan's feet. And I am celebrating that I am manifesting more oneness in the Kailash Kotyad. Beautifully, she describes how, from this Portuguese, she has described that how the pattern of limitation just breaks. Whatever impossibility that we have, when you do the power of Akashic reading, you become the possibility, you become the ultimate, you become the Akasha, the ultimate space. And somebody has asked about the Akashic reading that Bhagwan is doing. It's in the Akashic reading series about life. That is the satsang that we played. And each of these clippings, each Kotyat session, like all the Kotyat sessions have about 900 that of Bhagwan. And Bhagwan has guided these for each of the powers. Listening to these powerful cognition and having a cognitive shift and manifest as powers. These are the great space that we can experience as Paramashiva. Abalasans beautifully describes how he experienced the Akashic reading.
And this deity is like the representative of the Akashic records, and from this deity, when we sit for the Akashic records, golden letters appear as the answers for any question from the past, present or future. So how we do this, it's a very sacred process. So we do the puja, we wear jewelry, and we wear many things which allows Kalabhairava's energy to be able to stay in us. And then we sit on the Simhasana and we do the Akashic records. So anyone can come forward, they'll do namaskar to us. And at that time, we won't even be feeling like we are human anymore. It'll be like a totally out of the world experience itself. Like you can physically feel that your brain, like you stop thinking, like cognizing the way you normally do. It just starts downloading. The answers just simply start downloading. The body language, everything changes. It's just an amazing experience.
With this, let's go to the instruction for manifesting the powers and Pratyekta Pramana to understand.
Spoke how he experienced, and it is just a ritual, and how you enter into it. And after that, on Bhagwan's Murti, you can watch the Bhagwan's Murti and it will simply appear. What we are going to find today in Akashic reading, we are going to find the date, month and the year of some happening. It can be a birthday of a person, it can be a happening of some place or some event that you can write down and you can list it, and after the Mahavakya you can verify the details. When did the first the space shuttle started, the whole function? You can have any of the questions written and then you can write those answers, the date or the year, and then you can verify. And all these are just revealed if you connect to your Paramashiva space, because everything is vibrating. in a quantum space. The lower the frequency, Bhagavan says, we are like a rock. We are in the Atala Batala, cunningness, greed, and all the worries and everything. We are in such a pain. We are like a stone. If we go further, we are in the Bhuloka, where we are able to recognize that we have come down here for the ultimate purpose, that is Paramashiva as our reality. Even further, if we start vibrating into the higher frequencies, how the nature, for example, the nature, the Akasha, the forest, the large ocean, all that just opens up into our higher space, higher frequency, which we can merge into and be in the oneness. We start experiencing the higher dimension, the Svargaloka, the Tapoloka, and we are living in each of these lokas. Each one of us are there in all the loka, but how much percentage we are experiencing the ultimate, that much frequency we are living. We can be in the Naraga and the Bhuta, the Batala, Atala Batala, all that lower lokas, if we are struggling with the life to the great extent. But if we are living in the win-win situation, Bhagavan says, we are in the Swarga Loka. We are ready to contribute to others' life. Then we raise to the next Loka, Tapo Loka. We become the Tyaga. Then we are in the ultimate Kailasha, where Paramashiva is the only thing. Other than that, nothing is happening. And Parashakti is the manifesting of constant reality and regeneration and pulling us out of delusion and liberating and manifesting everything that as a happening. All these great signs Bhagavan is revealing to us to make us understand, to live a conscious sovereignty, higher intelligence. Cosmos is a feedback system. When you start searching for more and more Paramashiva in you, more and more the higher intelligence downloads in you and make you manifest higher reality, higher cognitions, and higher frequencies. More you are stuck in the outer world thinking that is the only solution by your skills or by your thinking or by your knowledge, then we are only stuck again and again in boredom, tiredness, and disease and death and birth cycle. Again and again we come back to same point where we left. Instead, we start manifesting powers. We understand the higher reality. Now, let's get into the deep oneness space and entangle with Bhagavan. Sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. And visualize Paramashiva in your third eye. Parashakti, all the darshan, past 2 days, we are having darshan after darshan after darshan. Holding all that darshans in your inner space constantly and melting, chanting is for you to melt into the space of Paramashiva. Melting into that oneness space is why we are given the Mahavakya. Continuously chanting the Mahavakya in your inner space till it becomes Ajapa Ajapa. Ajapa Ajapa is when the sound, you start listening and you stop chanting. And all the great saints have beautifully manifested all the great powers just by chanting the Mahavakya. The Ram Surat Kumar, Sharada Devi, and Tyagaraja, all of them have been chanting the Ramanama. The Mahavakya just can take you into the higher consciousness. So just melt in that and start chanting with the oneness space. Do not think of your body or the outer world. Unclutch from everything that you know as your identity. All that we know as our identity is only, Bhagavan says, stinking. A baby does not stink because it does not have thoughts. It doesn't have that much of identity. We have too many thoughts. That's why we stink, the Bhagavan says. Drop all that and only be in the space of Paramashiva. Melt in Paramashiva, chant Paramashiva. And just keep watching the oneness capsule. Whatever appears in the golden letters or on Bhagavan, simply write down the date, month and year of whatever questions you have written and somebody's birthday or some event detail. And at the end of the session, we will verify the detail. Let's start chanting the Mahavakya.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up. Manifest in all. Let Paramashiva overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
So beautiful. Please open your eyes. And whatever you have written down, please check, verify authentically that whatever Paramashiva, Bhagavan has given as prasada, Parashakti has manifested, and you can find it authentically the same answers, then you have manifested the powers. If you just experience few things correct, that is beautiful, you have started manifesting. And if you just have your Kundalini energy, also you have started manifesting. All these great truths, again and again, Bhagavan is revealing to us, telling us that we are a manifestation. We are not the logical thinking person. Bhagavan says so beautifully, even the whole universe and the galaxies and the loka, Paramashiva does not use his thinking. Why are we using our thinking to run our life? It is so silly how we live. If we know, like how the babies are so silly doing a lot of things and we take a film shot of that. That is how we are behaving we don't understand why we are here. The very purpose of our life is to celebrate Paramashiva, to live in Paramashiva, to chant Paramashiva, to experience Paramashiva, and to recognize Paramashiva in us. That is the very core purpose why humans were born on planet Earth and why we are here and why we experience all these greater signs in a glimpse to show that we are Paramashiva. And more you start doing the tapas, you will start experiencing more oneness and you will recognize the Paramashiva space in you as reality. Bhagavan has given the greatest samyama for us to live and experience the greatest samadhi of living as Paramashiva and seeing everybody as Paramashiva. As long as you think you're a gross body, you will perceive everything as gross. More and more you see everything as quantum, as molecule, atom, as frequency, highly aware of existential reality, then you will see everything as quantum. When Bhagavan is asked what he sees, He sees everybody as frequencies and as light, and each one is a self-effulgent light which is vibrating in a different frequency. When we recognize our higher self, Paramashiva space, we will start understanding how auspiciousness is our space. Like Bhagavan says, we are Brahmanya Bahuputratam. We are the inheritance of cosmos, favorite inheritance of cosmos. Because we are like the $1 trillion kid who have just been showered, especially in courtyard, just being Bhagavan in her presence, been showered by Bhagavan again and again to tell us that we are Paramashiva, not anything else, as human being silly and confusing ourselves with all the struggle that we are going through. Drop everything at Bhagavan's lotus feet and raise yourself into the higher cognition, higher reality. How we exist is Paramashiva. How we are is Paramashiva. How we relate is Paramashiva. Only hold that cognition, whether we are making a tea, whether you're walking, whether you're talking, taking a business decision. You are Paramashiva. Paramashiva has come down as our Guru. God himself as a Guru is saying this. Like if you go to a teacher and teacher says you are the best student, how would you feel? That's exactly Bhagavan himself has come down to tell you that you are Paramashiva. Now you should feel that greatness and the feeling starting to vibrate in that higher space that you are Paramashiva. Let's hold that highest cognition that I am Paramashiva, and having that as the only cognition and dropping everything else at Bhagavan's lotus feet. Again, we'll have one more short cycle of chanting deeply, melting into Paramashiva and experiencing the higher state. How the chanting works: when you chant the Mahavakya, Om or Namah Shivaya or the Mahavakya, simply you start vibrating. Your whole frequency starts vibrating intensely into more and more reality. The more intense you stand, the more intensity of your frequency. And when you get into a frequency where it just merges into the universal frequency, simply Bhagavan says you become Paramashiva. That is why he says 21 seconds you are able to hold that frequency. You will be manifesting the enlightened state itself. 25 seconds, 21 seconds. Yes, that's what Bhagavan says. That's all. We just get a glimpse in 3 to 4 seconds, power manifestation happens. And more we experience that oneness, more and more the auspiciousness and abundance. Bhagavan says the whole world can become gold when you start experiencing the oneness. Bragadishwar temple, one of the largest temple, and the whole temple was covered with gold. How is that possible? And it is really a scientific fact. You can go and get in the detail in the museum. It is written down. Everything was robbed, 250 plus tons of gold. How did they manufacture that and fix that and all that? Only by the powerful cognition, power manifestation, simply residing in the space of Paramashiva. That is why even Britishers have written they could not find one beggar in India before they landed. That is the reality, because it was Siddhas and Rishis and Munis, millions of them manifesting the wealth and auspiciousness and abundance and powerful cognition. Even their height were 9 feet. And more we are shrinking because the thoughts in us is only shrinking. We are becoming more and more less frequency than what we are. Now let's chant and raise ourselves to the highest oneness with Paramashiva. Melting in Paramashiva, the beautiful space, Bhagavan's gesture, Bhagavan's attire, Bhagavan's grace, Bhagavan's so gorgeous looks, everything just merges us into Paramashiva space. Hold only that and chant the Mahavakya, entangling with Bhagavan for the second cycle of Akashic reading. Write down the question, and whatever appears on Bhagavan, the golden letters, please write down the answers. At the end of this cycle, again, we'll verify and share with the world. If you would like to share in the social media you're connected, please go ahead and share. And now let's have the second cycle for Akashic reading. Let's start chanting. Sit straight with your head, neck and spine in a straight line. Bring your awareness to third eye. Drop everything that you know. How in the deep sleep everything is lost every single day. Same way, consciously enter into the same state. Drop everything other than you and Paramashiva. It is an appointment just between you and Paramashiva. Let's start chanting the Mahavakya.
Paramashivoham. Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Varni open up, manifest in all of us. Overflow, manifest the powers in all our third eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Let Paramashiva's third eye manifest in all our third eyes. Let the Amrita pour, let the Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Such a beautiful space. All of us who have experienced the Akashic reading, please go ahead and share your powerful cognition and power manifestation in tinyurl.com/power manifestation. And the Akashic reading today, Kalabhairava Darshan, everything will happen. It starts at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and then it will start one session by next session. And Akashic reading, you can post the questions. They will answer all the questions through the Akashic reading. Just now, I had a balasans for finding somebody who ran out of the house, and the parent were so tension, and immediately he saw through his third eye and the Bhagavan's picture, Murti, Atma Murti, and he clearly said that Bhagavan is saying he is in the friend's house in the outskirts of the village. And clearly they could see in a village with his friend, and he came home. They called him and they came home. It is so clear sometimes how Bhagavan is showing all the details perfectly, as perfect as it can get. And in emergency, it is the best thing that can be of great use, all these higher cognition, so that you don't have to have so much of pressure and tension. When you are in higher intelligence, you simply know everything, you can simply reach to anything, you can simply manifest anything. So you don't have any of the issues that a human will have. And it's such a oneness space that we experience more and more the higher understanding and matured realities, so that we don't suffer. So please share your powerful cognition from the satsangs. And if you're doing the samyama, go ahead and paint the whole world that you are doing the samyama, that you are Paramashiva, and everybody that exists is Paramashiva. Go and tell everyone that you are Paramashiva, and they are also Paramashiva. Start talking like Gurukul kids. Hey, Paramashiva, how are you? And how Paramashiva is answering this. Paramashiva, can I take this? Paramashiva, can I read this? Everything is all about Paramashiva, and live as Paramashiva. It's okay somebody is making fun because they think you don't know, but they don't know. And soon they will realize, oh my God, you are manifesting so much of grace, so much of abundance. I also will become Paramashiva, and they will also start saying the detail. Such a beautiful thing. Now let's surrender all this powerful cognition and power manifestation to Bhagavan's lotus feet. And if you see a dollar sign, please contribute to Bhagavan, the Kailasha, the ultimate space that you can create that Kailasha in your inner space. Again and again, Bhagavan give us the greatest opportunity to share and contribute to others' life and become the Kailasha, and hold the Kailasha in our inner space by contributing. So with that, let's end with the Purna Mantra, thanking each one of you, hundreds of you manifesting powers, creates such a global peace and global unity, a oneness space. So thank you so much for being in the session. Let's end the session with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavate Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyananda Thank you so much. After the next satsang, next darshan, we'll have more Kailash Kotiyats. And see you then. Thank you, Nithyananda.